Hey guys, Kyle here. Today I'll be comparing every version of the Golden Weapons of Spinjitzu from 2011 to 2022. Without any further ado, let's begin with the Sword of Fire. So with the Sword of Fire, there have only ever been really two versions now in 2022, although technically three if you include the Weapon of Destruction version. Starting with the Legacy slash 2011 one, this mold is pretty accurate to the show. It's the most accurate Sword of Fire we have. In fact, I would say it's the most accurate golden weapon we have, compared to definitely all the other ones. Because this mold hasn't changed since 2011. They've been using from 2011 to 2015 with the Dimension Packs, Juniors more recently, and obviously Legacy. And it's just a really accurate mold. I would say it's the best mold that we'll be seeing in this entire video. Is now moving on to the newer 2022 crystallized version. Oh, ooh, no. This is like the Walmart brand Sword of Fire. It is like night and day comparison. This is the definition of night and day comparison. What is this? It's way too flat, first of all, for some reason. As you can see here, this has more dimension to it. Second of all, you can barely tell this is the Sword of Fire, aside from the fact that there is a dragon here, compared to the dragon here, which is the hilt, and the flames continuing up the blade. Here, it's just a dragon's head, and barely half the head. It looks really bad, but to be fair, in the crystallized state, I guess, it looks much better, but still not that great. So far it's not looking good for the sort of, well, the new golden weapons, because the best Sword of Fire has to go to the old mold from 2011 to even still nearly present day. So with all that said, let's move on to the Scythe of Quakes. So comparing the Scythe of Quakes, starting from the left, we have 2011, 2019 with Legacy, 2022 with Crystallized, and the Crystallized Weapon Destruction also from 2022. Starting with 2011, this is the most primitive version of it. Currently, I cannot find my 2011 Cole, so I am using the version from the Dimension Packs in 2015. So just keep that in note. This should be obviously that version of Cole, but it's not. It's very primitive again, as I've said before, just there. It's very basic, and I gotta say, it's definitely and surprisingly the worst out of all of them, except for the fact of the 2012 one. I don't have that in possession currently, so I'll in post flash an image up here of it. As you can see, it's not that good compared to the 2011 version, at least in my opinion, but it was definitely suppressed in 2019, well, 2019 with the Legacy version here, which is still pretty good. It's not accurate. I would say this is the most least accurate version. The 2011 one is definitely more accurate than this, but it looks very cool, very snazzy indeed. Obviously, we saw it in Season 10, March of the Oni, but apart from that, in canon, we did not see this version in the show. Here as well, we have the 2022 version with the crystallized wave. This is the most accurate version because of the blade itself. My only complaint, though, is that the staff part, it's too small. It should be the size of the 2011 Scythe of Quakes, but instead it's just not even the size of the 2019 Scythe of Quakes, which is very bizarre looking. And it still looks pretty snazzy too in the Weapon of Destruction form, also from Crystallized, which you can see Vangelis has. It looks pretty good. I did forget to mention though, with the Sword of Fire, if you get a Crystallized set, you basically get all the golden weapons in that one set, with the exception of the Nunchucks of Lightning, because you are missing the chain. But apart from that, this is very common to get, so if you were worried in getting that. But again, all of these versions, very good, although again, I'd have to say my favorite is the 2022 crystallized version, with the original 2011 version at a close second. But anyway, with all that said, let's move on to the Nunchucks of Lightning. And here we have the Nunchucks of Lightning. Starting on the left again, we have 2011. I cannot find my 2011J, so I'm using the Dimensions version. 2019 with Legacy, 2022 with Crystallized, and the Weapon of Destruction version, also from 2022. Starting with the original one, I don't think it looks bad, and I think that's mainly because of nostalgia. Obviously, like, the golden weapons weren't that difficult to get in 2011, so chances are, even with spare parts, you probably could have made a Nunchucks of Lightning. This is the least accurate version to the show, though. Because while the crystallized version we'll get to in a minute may be really bad, at least it is accurate. Then we have the second one. The best one, in my opinion, is the 2019 Legacy version. It uses the dragon hilts that have been used for the elemental blades, also in Legacy. But they look really great here. The only thing I would change though, make the chain translucent blue. You have the most accurate version of the Nunchucks of Lightning. I mean, obviously the dragon heads should be the other way around, but you can't do that in Lego, so not really much else to say. I think these are basically perfect. These versions though are horrendous. They are really bad. The heads are way too thin, way too skinny, which makes sense as obviously here they are meant to fit into this crystallized blade. They look so much better like as a weapon of destruction rather than what they're meant to look like with the ninja, which is a bit disappointing. But this looks really cool here. It looks more like a staff though, but it looks really cool, a lot better than this does. But if I would have to pick a winner, it would have to be the 2019 Legacy version. Well, that said, let's move on to the Shurikens of Ice. So with the Shurikens of Ice, first here again we have the 2011 version, the 2022 crystallized version, and the 2022 Weapon of Destruction version. As you can see, a significantly smaller gap compared to all the other weapons in terms of differences. They basically blew it out of the water first try in 2011, so there really wasn't that much changes here. As you can see, they look pretty good. Again, they were also used in Legacy, which it's mainly because they didn't have to redo them. They just looked perfect from the start and really great, but they were suppressed with the new ones here in 2022. These look so much better. I think though they're maybe a bit too big. If they were maybe the size of the 2011 ones with the detail of the 2022 ones, oh, perfect. Not a single change needs to be made. And here on the right as well, we have Mr. F with the crystallized version, which, yeah, looks pretty plain out of all the crystallized versions. It's literally just a blade with the two shurikens at the side. But it looks pretty good. And with this one, it is really difficult to choose a winner. But honestly, it's going to have to go to 2022, mainly because the detailing on it and also the size, it's a lot better. Although the only difference with the two of them is this one here is like more of a soft plastic, while this is a harder plastic, which means it is kind of harder to pose in minifigure hands. But on the bright side, it's less likely to fall out of their hands more often, so a bit of a dub. But anyway, now let's move on to the final round and compare my favorite versions of each golden weapon. So, starting with the Sword of Fire, the best one, in my opinion, is the 2011 version. This mold is just fantastic. It is the best. It's the most accurate. There was no reason to make a 2022 one other than the fact it needed to fit in like the crystal sword part. Aside from that though, it is perfect. A really great representation of what it looks like in the show. Then with the Scythe of Quakes, it's got to go to the 2022 crystallized version. Again, the size, it should be a lot bigger, the same size as the 2011 version, but the detail on it is just really great. It is really accurate to the show. You love to see it, and it only took them 11 years. Next, we have the Nunchucks of Lightning, and my favorite version has got to go to the Legacy version, mainly because it's just how accurate it is to the show. Like, literally, it needs one, piece change, and it is perfect. Really good representation of the Nunchucks of Lightning. Again, you'll love to see it. And finally, my favorite version of the Shurikens of Ice are the 2022 crystallized version. Again, because of the detail, the size, the fact that it's a hard plastic now, so it's very easy to fit into minifigure hands. It is really great. But in my opinion, all these golden weapons are pretty good, except for the 2022 Sword of Fire, 2022 Nunchucks of Lightning, 2012 Scythe of Quakes. If you ignore those though, they're all really great. And it's just great to see the comparison over the years. The accuracy to the show and just everything is fantastic. Well, that said, let me know in the comments, which one do you guys prefer out of the Sword of Fire, Scythe of Quakes, Nunchucks of Lightning, and the Shurikens of Ice? Let me know, and while you're down there, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, make sure to hit that bell to stay notified when I updated, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.